welcome to this video. My name is Jonathan Curtis. Today we are talking about paradiddles, specifically how we can start applying them and using them in a groove context. I did a video recently that looked at paradiddles in a linear fashion, which kind of was fill and solo based. Today we're talking more about how we can use them in a groove scenario. So the material we're looking at today is going to have a number of benefits. First of all, it's going to improve your ability to work with paradiddles generally. It's also going to give you some new pieces of vocabulary that can improve and spice up your grooves a little bit as well. And as we'll see, there are far-reaching applications for what we're going to look at today. So of course, we all know the basic paradiddle: right, left, left, left. This is going to be broken down into a right-handed paradiddle, right, left, and a left-handed paradiddle, left, left. We are going to phrase these between the snare drum and the hi-hat today to create a pattern between those two surfaces, between those two sounds. So very, very simple: right hand on the hi-hat, left hand on the snare drum. And I'd like to really pay attention to the unique rhythm that each hand gets. I'll show you what I mean. If I mute the left hand, if I mime the left hand, so we're only listening to the right hand, we hear this really interesting melodic pattern on the hi-hat cymbal. We get the same pattern but reversed if we mime the right hand and listen only to that left hand on the snare drum. Let's put those together again, but now let's change the dynamics so that our right hand stays nice and loud, and let's keep our left hand nice and low. Let's essentially play all of these as ghost notes. This is going to give us a nice contrast between the melodic pattern in the right hand and a textural pattern on the left hand. This is kind of providing texture as opposed to a more melodic or rhythmic addition to the groove. Simple paradiddles, a simple pattern, but we start to get some really nice phrasing between the two instruments, especially when we apply the dynamics. Now, we are going to alter the dynamics again, incorporating an accent into the left hand on the first stroke of the left-handed paradiddle. Right, left, left. That first left hand of the left-handed paradiddle, we will play that as an accent. And finally, we're going to add a bass drum to provide a basic backbeat. This bass drum is going to appear on the first beat of the bar, that first right hand of the right-handed paradiddle. And then we have a simple paradiddle-based groove, right? This is super common. I'm sure you've all experimented with this sort of thing before. If not, if this is quite new to you, it is well worth taking your time and getting comfortable with this, because these paradiddles have really far-reaching applications. They're an incredibly powerful tool when in the right hands, pun intended. One thing you can try here is to take that right hand across to the ride cymbal. Now, as we were just talking about, having that right hand pattern isolated gives a really interesting rhythm, a melodic pattern almost. If we play this on the bell of the ride cymbal, that pattern is amplified, right? We can hear it really, really clearly. One thing I like to do, which you can play with and experiment with yourself, the right, left, right, that double stroke on the right hand in the right-handed paradiddle, I like to play the first of those two right hands on the body of the cymbal. So you go bell, left, body, bell, right, left, right. And then the right hand stroke in the left hand paradiddle, left, left, stays on the bell. So all of those right hands stay on the bell except the first note of the double. I'll put something on screen to show this. Gives us a pattern like this. When we combine that again with our bass drum, we get this really nice groove that has simple origins, a simple makeup, but sounds really nice. Now, of course, the first logical step with this is to improve your coordination with that bass drum. That bass drum pattern, that bass drum stroke can be played on any of those 8 paradiddle strokes. Doesn't matter if we're counting these as 8th notes or 16th notes, right? In a paradiddle back-to-back, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, there are 8 notes. We can play a bass drum on any and all of them. So like you did when you first started exploring the basic rock beat, we can start exploring various bass drum patterns where the hand pattern doesn't change, but we're improvising with this bass drum. And our simple paradiddle has become something quite beastly already. Now, yes, there is a degree of coordination required there, and if this is where you're starting to have difficulty, that's fine, take your time, because this is well worth getting comfortable with, right? So an easy way to do this is to take your paradiddle pattern and number it 1 to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And move your bass drum along one position each time. So start with it in position 1, which we've started with, then try position 2, which is on the second stroke of the paradiddle. Position 3. And so on to the end of the bar. And then you can start to combine 2 at a time. So 1 and 3 is a nice starting point, the first and the third stroke of the paradiddle. So already there's a lot of work there if you're not familiar with these paradiddle patterns. But we're going to take it one step further now and see how we can start to incorporate this as a piece of vocabulary that we can use in further scenarios. We're going to divide those paradiddles in half into a bass drum paradiddle and a snare drum paradiddle, right? What I'm going to call the bass drum paradiddle is the right-handed paradiddle with a bass drum on the first stroke. Make sure that left hand stays as a ghost note. So it's the right-handed paradiddle with a bass drum on the first stroke. The snare drum paradiddle, what we can call the snare drum paradiddle, is the left-handed paradiddle with an accent on the first stroke. Bass drum paradiddle, snare drum paradiddle. Right? These are our 2 pieces of vocabulary. So we are now going to take an 8th note groove, a simple rock pattern that we've all started with, something like this. There's a backbeat there, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 end. Any of those bass drums and any of those snare drums can be substituted for the relevant paradiddle. So to give you an idea, let's substitute the second snare drum, the one that falls on beat 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, that one. That's going to turn into a snare drum paradiddle. So quite simply, when we arrive at beat 4, instead of playing both hands together as we normally would, we're going to play the left-handed snare drum paradiddle, and we're going to count it as 16th notes. So our rhythm here is 1 and 2 and 3 and paradiddle, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and A. Again, don't neglect listening to what you're actually playing here, because we get some really interesting patterns forming on this hi-hat. I'll play it over on the bell this time so you can really hear what this right hand is playing. Really sounding nice, really quite interesting. We get some interplay on the bell there, which is really cool. Let's try a different one. This time we're going to substitute in a bass drum paradiddle, that right-handed paradiddle, for the first bass drum. So that very first bass drum on beat number 1 is now going to become a right-handed paradiddle. Paradiddle 2 and 3 and 4 and... Notice here that we actually end up playing 3 quick hi-hat strokes in a row because we play right, left, right, right on beat 1. And then on beat 2, we play another right hand as we play that downbeat on beat 2 with the snare drum. Right, left, right, both and. And again, we get some really interesting interplay happening on that right hand. Let's combine 2 of those now. We'll do the 2 we've just done. So the first bass drum becomes a right-hand paradiddle, and the second snare drum on beat 4 becomes the left-handed paradiddle. Paradiddle 2 and 3 and paradiddle 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and a... So again, we get this really cool kind of melodic pattern on the bell or on the hi-hat, and we also get this really interesting ghost note pattern. Don't neglect that these ghost notes have to be really quiet, right? Because they form texture. So this gives you, these paradiddles sit really nicely in the hand. So this gives you an easy way to start incorporating ghost notes into your playing, even if we're not worried about that right-hand accent pattern at the moment. When you are working with a new bass drum pattern, it is nice if you can keep that bass drum pattern when you play the paradiddle. So if we've got a pattern like this, and we want to substitute in for the right-handed bass drum paradiddle, we keep both of those bass drum strokes. So this is where your coordination practice earlier on, working through all those bass drum positions, is going to pay off. Because if you've got maybe a 16th note bass drum pattern, we want to be able to keep that 16th note bass note pattern in. It's worth stating, these paradiddle grooves on their own can make a really nice drum and bass pattern. If you think of the basic drum and bass pattern, slowed down, that's all it is. Boom, gat, boom, bat, boom, boom, bat, boom, bat. If we apply that to our paradiddle groove, and bring it up to a drum and bass speed, you get this kind of busy, driving, stuttering drum and bass pattern going on, which is really nice. It's driven from that bass drum and snare drum, but there's this really intricate right-hand pattern going on that only paradiddles can give you. We are using paradiddles, but we don't have to. If you open stick control, for example, the first page, there are 2 patterns that jump out straight away, patterns 6 and 7, which are the inverted paradiddle and the reverse paradiddle. So our inverted paradiddle, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. And our reverse paradiddle, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. Make sure with that one, the first stroke of the left hand is an accent, the second one is a ghost note. That can be quite tricky at first. Anyway, these can all be used interchangeably. For example, I can create a similar paradiddle groove like we did right at the very start by combining any two of those paradiddle patterns. For example, I will do a right-handed normal paradiddle, right, left, right, right, and then I will do a left-handed inverted paradiddle, left, right, right, left. So normal paradiddle, right, left, right, right, inverted paradiddle, left, right, right, left. And listen to the anatomy of the groove you've created here. We get a more intricate hi-hat pattern, but we get fewer ghost notes. We get less going on texturally. So it's worth exploring how each of these paradiddle variations is going to affect the larger groove. Now, you can apply each of these new patterns in the same way we applied the basic paradiddles. So let's take a simple 8th note groove again, but this time I'm going to insert an inverted paradiddle at the end of the bar instead of a normal left-handed paradiddle. Now let's reinsert that standard paradiddle on the bass drum at the beginning. So we're going paradiddle, two, and inverted paradiddle. And you can mix and match these to your heart's content. But the overall point here is that once you kind of incorporate this into your larger vocabulary, you can find yourself using these paradiddles where you would normally just have a normal snare drum accent or a normal bass drum beat in that backbeat. You incorporate these into your vocabulary and then they become yours to use as you see fit. And you must always use these sparingly, right? You must always use them tastefully, musically. So if you're playing a really sort of laid-back rock ballad, you probably don't want to be blazing these paradiddles all over the place. But it can be nice if you're playing something and you're thinking, this is just a little bit too simplistic. I need some subtle way to just spice it up a little bit. Maybe a quick insertion of a paradiddle can be just what you need. There's a dirty joke in there somewhere. When you're really comfortable with all three of those paradiddle variations, the standard, the inverted, and the reverse, and you've kind of got your coordination sorted, if you think of a larger groove context, that backbeat is informing what I play, right? That's my overall beat, my overall pulse that I'm playing. I can use any and all of those paradiddle variations in conjunction with one another at will to get this really nice, improvised, kind of loose, busy feel without breaking the overall groove. And as an added bonus, these paradiddles work really nicely as fills as well. So I just orchestrated, I think it was an inverted paradiddle just around the drums there. Ready-made fills, right? Ready-made magic. So just as an added bonus, if you've already got those paradiddles under your hand, it just takes no effort at all to orchestrate them around the drums and keep that groove going even as you play your drum fill. So I hope there's been something of interest here for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with any questions. I've been receiving some really, really nice comments recently, so thank you so much for those. I appreciate all of the support. I hope you're finding these videos useful, and I will see you on the next one. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this sort of thing. Thanks a lot.